Good evening. I would like to take this opportunity to welcome everybody to the very first Shabbos of the new year, Shabbat Bereishit. And what a wonderful parsha it is to start off the new year. You see, there's enough Torah in this little parsha to be a source of learning and discussion for an entire year and beyond. I always feel a little frustrated that for a sermon I can only concentrate on one or two themes. But on the other hand, we need to save some Torah for next year as well. So allow me to focus our attention on an amazing location, a locale or neighborhood of sorts, which is mentioned in our parsha and stands front and center of the biblical story of creation. I refer, of course, to that mythical place called Gan Eden, the Garden of Eden. I do not refer to the good place where we go after 120 years of sojourning on this earth, because for that paradise we are told, Ayin lo ra'ata zulatecha Elokim, famous verse in Isaiah 63, no human eye has beheld it, only God. Rather, I speak of the Gan Eden Hatachton, the terrestrial garden, if you will, which is described as being a real place right here on earth. Well, where is this magical garden? What does it look like? So many people have different notions of what exactly paradise is. They vary from fantasies of palatial homes and gardens and well springs to all the way to a floating library complete with angels playing live music and serving delicacies of every imaginable kind. I remember there was a survey taken by Time magazine, maybe you recall, several years ago, of Americans who were asked to describe their concept of heaven. The consensus turned out to be a vision of some sort of celestial version of Disney World, complete with theme park amusements and out-of-this-world restaurants. But what is the Jewish concept of Gan Eden? Is it any different? Truth to tell, if we speak of the Garden of Eden in which Adam and Eve inhabited, it seems that it was very much an earthly paradise. The Medrash enhances our understanding of it by adding that animals scurried about, bringing them food, cooking, scrubbing, cleaning, asking them, begging them, is there anything more that we can do for you? Is there anything we can do to make you happy? Well, is that any different from the Disneyland model? I don't think so. But there is one little curious thing about the story as it's presented to us in the Torah. Adam, who apparently was created outside of the garden, needed to get in. And according to the Medrash, he had to be forced in, or at least cajoled to get in there by God. The pasuk in Bereishit chapter 2 verse 15 says, Vayikach Elokim et Adam Vayanichehu began Eden. God took him, implying that it was against his will. Well, if we're describing Disney World, you would expect that Adam and Eve would be breaking the doors to get in. What's the problem? So obviously there's a little more to this story. And in fact, it consists of two little words which are added at the end of the verse just mentioned. Vayanichehu began Eden, God placed Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, le'ovda u'lishomra, to work it, to work the land ostensibly, u'lishomra, to observe it, really to protect it, to guard it. I believe that herein lies the difference between the Jewish concept of Gan Eden and that of the rest of the worlds. Let me explain. There's an old Yiddish joke about the hooligan who spent his life stealing from others and burglaring and doing whatever he does and spending half his life in jail, who eventually passes away, and surprise, surprise, he gains access to heaven. And he is shown pleasures beyond his wildest dreams. Wine, women, and song is the order of the day. The roulette tables and the slot machines, which are in the lobby of the beautiful hotel that he's living in, is constantly busy. His penthouse suite comes with an indoor pool and a sauna. Every day was truly heaven. For a while. You see, after a couple of months of this routine, he started to get bored. Not bored, bored to death. So, out of desperation, he finally asked one of his many servants, "Sir, can you please help me? You see, I can't live like this anymore. I need to do something. I need to go to work, to build a house, plant a tree, something, or I'll go absolutely crazy." The servant replied sternly, "That's the one thing you cannot do here." The man was shocked and responded, "Well, if that's the case, I'd rather go to the other place." To which the servant again replied, "Where exactly did you think you were?" You see, only when man satisfies his creative nature through labor and intellectual stimulation can he develop a sense of deep accomplishment in his life. However, this is only a partial answer. Remember, there are two words here, le'ovda u'leshomra. As the old adage goes, all work and no play makes Johnny a dull boy. Working like an ox for 7 days a week will eventually force a person to neglect his or her spouse, children, social contacts. We're all familiar with the idea of a workaholic. And worse, people have a need to develop spiritually, to immerse themselves occasionally in a godly environment, to strengthen their attachment to the Ribbono Shel Olam. So we now come to that second word in the above mentioned verse, lishomra, to guard, to protect. How is this to be accomplished? What exactly does it mean? The Medrash Rabbah explains that the verse le'avda is taken from the 10 Commandments and the laws of the Sabbath day. Sheshes yamim ta'avod, 6 days shalt thou work labor. V'asita kol melachtecha, and you shall accomplish all that you need to accomplish. Uvayom hashvi'i Shabbat, and on the seventh day, Shabbat. The second word, lishomro, is also taken from a theme involving Shabbat. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, and the people of Israel shall observe the Sabbath. The Sifrei, another medrash, actually tweaks the definition and says quite simply, Le'avdo ze Talmud. What does the word le'avdo mean? To study Talmud. Lishamro elu ha-mitzvos. To observe, that refers to the mitzvos. Very different than our original conception. Avoda means not only physical labor, but more importantly to labor intellectually in the gardens of the Torah. Yet during the week, this is often hard to do. Time must be snatched, as it were, in order to maintain a seder or a daily study routine of Torah, which is the goal of all of us. Lishmar, on the other hand, therefore conveys a day of respite from the avoda, and a day to dedicate to God, to family, to achieving intellectual heights through complete immersion in the worlds of prayer and the study of Torah. At this point, we can now understand Adam's hesitance from entering the garden. Adam wasn't really sure if he was up to such a challenge. He was plagued with self-doubt. He hesitated, procrastinated. Would he succeed in this wonderful garden, or will he fail? It took God himself to convince him that, indeed, there may be pitfalls up ahead. There may be difficult challenges which you need to meet. But I created you with the capacity to meet those challenges. You can do it. I created you with all of the tools, all the talents, all the intelligence, all the raw perseverance to achieve paradise in that garden. However, we all know what happened very soon afterwards. Almost immediately after arriving in the garden on Friday afternoon, the day he was created, Adam and Eve ate from the forbidden fruit and were chased out of the garden. However, on the other hand, ultimately, that was okay. All was not lost. Indeed, had Adam not had a glimpse of paradise, he would never have had a goal to work toward. He would never have attempted to create his own Gan Eden. All that changed when he and Eve had to start from scratch. No longer would Eden be a free gift, an environment to achieve amazing heights. But now it had to be earned slowly and meticulously throughout Adam's lifetime and Eve's lifetime and their children's as well. It's interesting that there are those who search the world entire to find the original Garden of Eden. Every once in a while, the headlines claim that it has been found. And people go to the Himalayas, the jungles of Africa, or to some uncharted island in the Pacific. But those people are truly missing the point and way off mark. In reality, Gan Eden is all around us. When a person succeeds in turning this world into Gan Eden, despite all of its challenges and difficulties, only then can he become worthy of the celestial Gan Eden after the proverbial 120 years. A Gan Eden which no eye has yet seen, and which extends way beyond any physical pleasures this world has to offer. Shabbat Shalom.